English Literature, Introduction to Poetry. Ulysses, Alfred Tennyson, brief questions with answers. Question 1. When was Tennyson born and when did he die? Answer. He was born in 1809 and died in 1892. Question 2. To which college did Tennyson go for education? Answer. He went to Trinity College, Cambridge for education. Question 3. What is the title of his first collection of poems? Answer. The title of his first collection of poems was Poems by Two Brothers. It included poems written by him and his elder brother Charles. Question 4. Who was his best friend? Answer. His best friend was Arthur Henry Hallam. Question 5. When was Tennyson appointed to the position of Poet Laureate? Answer. Tennyson was appointed to the position of Poet Laureate in 1850. Question 6. When Ulysses was first published? Answer. It was first published in 1842 in Tennyson's second collection entitled Poems. Question 7. What kind of poem is Ulysses? Answer. It is a dramatic monologue. Question 8. Who was Ulysses? Answer. In Greek mythology, Ulysses, Odysseus in Greek, was the king of Ithaca, who fought in the Trojan War. He is the famous hero of Homer's Odyssey. Question 9. What is the verse form of Tennyson's Ulysses? Answer. It is in blank verse. Question 10. What is the general tone of Ulysses? Answer. The general tone of the poem is heroic. Question 11. What are the themes of Ulysses? Answer. The themes of Ulysses are perseverance, dissatisfaction, and mortality. Question 12. Find out the figure of speech in It little profits that an idle king. Answer. There is assonance in the 5 repetition of I. Similarly, there is alliteration in the repetition of L. Question 13. What figure of speech do you find in the line matched with an aged wife I met and told? Answer. M has been repeated twice in this line. It is an example of alliteration. Question 14. What are the figures of speech in the line unequal laws unto a savage race? Answer. U has been repeated twice. It is a case of assonance in the words laws, savage, and race. A has been repeated 4 times. It is also an example of assonance. Question 15. Find out assonance in the line that hold and sleep and feed and not know me. Answer. In this line, O has been repeated thrice and E has been repeated twice. These repetition of vowels are assonance. Question 16. In what mental condition of Ulysses you find him in the opening lines? Answer. As reflected in the opening lines, Ulysses is bored with his present conditions. Question 17. What figure of speech do you find in the lines I will drink life to the lees? Answer. The figure in the quoted line is called metonymy because the words drink and lees refer to a bottle of wine with which they are associated. Question 18. What figure of speech do you find in that loved me and alone on shore? Answer. In it, O has been repeated 4 times and A thrice. The figure in this repetition is called assonance. Question 19. Name the figure in the line vexed the dim sea I am become a name. Answer. There is a use of consonants in the repetition of M at the end of the words dim, M, without the repetition of the vowels before them. Question 20. What does Ulysses mean when he says, I am become a name? Answer. When he says, I am become a name, Ulysses means that he is well known far and wide for his heroic deeds. Question 21. Explain the verse form of the line, I am a part of all that I have made. Answer. It is an iambic pentameter line. Question 22. Name the figure in the line, I am a part of all that I have made. Answer. Here is a use of assonance because A has been repeated. Question 23. What is the name of the figure of speech in the phrases dim sea and hungry heart? Line 11-12. Answer. There are transferred epithets in these phrases. The epithet adjective dim is used to modify light, but it has been transferred to sea to mean calm. Similarly, hungry is used to modify man or stomach, but it has been transferred to heart to mean eager. Question 24. What does arch in the line, yet all experience is an ark mean? It means gateway to the store of knowledge. Question 25. Find out alliteration in the line, and manners, climates, councils, governments. Answer. The consonant M has been repeated at the beginning of these stressed syllables, manners, climates, and governments. Question 26. Find out assonance in the line, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. Answer. The vowel I has been repeated in the words ringing, plains, and windy. Question 27. What is Troy? Answer. According to the ancient mythology, Troy is a city where the Greeks and the Trojans fought mighty battles. Question 28. Name the figure of speech in windy Troy. Answer. The name of the figure of speech is allusion because it alludes to the battlefield of Troy. Question 29. Find out the figure of speech in the line, to follow knowledge like a sinking star. Answer. There is an open comparison in the line. It is a simile. Question 30. Name the figure of speech in the line, and this grey spirit yearning in desire. Answer. There is a transferred epithet in the phrase grey spirit because the adjective grey is used before a hare or bird, but here it has been transferred to spirit to mean old. Question 31. What figure of speech do you find in to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as to breathe where life? Answer. There is a metaphor in the quoted lines. A man's unused life has been implicitly compared to an unused sword. Question 32. What is the figurative name of scepter in the line, to whom I leave this scepter and dial? Answer. It is called metonymy because it is associated with another thing, authority. Question 33. What is Ulysses' perception of his son Telemachus? Answer. Ulysses thinks that Telemachus is better than him in domestic affairs, and he will rule the wrecked people of Ithaca successfully. Question 34. What tone of voice do you notice in as to breathe where life? Answer. The tone of voice in the line is resentful. Question 35. What does eternal silence mean in Ulysses? Name the figure of speech in it. Answer. The phrase means death. Its figurative name is innuendo because the unpleasant word death has been replaced by a pleasant phrase. Question 36. What does Ulysses mean when he says he works his work, I mine? Answer. By it, Ulysses means that Telemachus performs the domestic duties while he explores explores the unexplored. Question 37. Explain the personification in the vessel puffs her sail. Answer. The vessel has been treated as a living being, so it is a personification. Question 38. Whom does Ulysses refer to the line, souls that have told and wrought and thought with me? Name the figure of speech in souls. Answer. Ulysses refers to his co-mariners. Ulysses refers to his co-mariners in the line. The word soul is a synecdoche because here souls, part of the bodies, have been used to mean the mariners. Question 39. In what context Ulysses says, "Death closes all"? Answer. When Ulysses talks to his companions, he says this reminding them about unavoidable death. He tells them that he, along with them, should do some novel jobs before they die, befitting the records of their past heroic deeds. Question 40. What does "not unbecoming man" mean in Ulysses? The phrase means heroic or adventurous man. Question 41. Name the figure of speech in the line, "Some work of novel note may yet be done." Answer. There is assonance in the line because "O" has been repeated 5 times. Question 42. Scan the line, "Of all the western stars until I die," and say what kind of verse form has been used in it. Answer. Of all the western stars until I die, the name of the verse form is iambic pentameter. Question 43. What does Ulysses mean by "to sail beyond the sunset"? Answer. By "to sail beyond the sunset," Ulysses means beyond the known limit. Question 44. What does lights mean in "the lights begin to twinkle from the rocks"? Name the figure of speech in lights. Answer. The word lights mean stars. It is a synecdoche. Question 45. Name the figure of speech in "the deep moans." Answer. It is a metonymy because the word deep is associated with the sea that the phrase means. Question 46. What do the happy owls refer to? Answer. The happy owls refers to a heavenly place in the underworld. According to Ulysses, the dead virtuous heroes of Greece reside there. Question 47. Who is Achilles? Answer. Achilles is the greatest of the Greek heroes who fought in the Battle of Troy. Question 48. Who says to whom, "Come, my friends"? Name the figure of speech in it. Answer. Ulysses says this to his co-mariners. The figure of speech in it is called apostrophe because it is an address. Question 49. Find out the figure of speech in "the sounding furrows for my purpose holds." Answer. The repetition of O in this line is called assonance, and the repetition of P is called alliteration. The word furrows is a metaphor because there is an implicit comparison between the tides of the sea and the soil lines raised by plows. Thank you, viewers, for watching my video.